Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Skeledirge in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Competitively, this Pokemon isn't glamorous, it's not flashy, and compared to the Cat and Duck, it doesn't really sweep. 66 base speed is hard to boost. However, it has one of the best abilities in the game with Unaware. So Skeledirge hits the field and turns the battle into an absolute fist fight. Any shenanigans the opponent is trying to pull goes away, and it becomes a battle of stats. And that's where Skeledirge shows it's got some bulky stats. A physical attacker does not want to swing into 104 hit points, 100 defense. Even if it outspeeds, Skeledirge can retaliate and also just absorb a lot of hits. We add the Assault Vest to patch in our weak special defense, and now we are popping off, but we keep on popping off because of Torch Song. So, signature move for Skeledirge, 100% chance to raise special attack by 1. So it's a lower power Fiery Dance that always raises special attack. That's pretty strong, and our coverage pretty nice. Shadow Ball Stab next to Fire feels pretty good. We also have the Earth Power, and then like Overheat if you have no other options, no other way to KO a bulky Pokemon like Torch Song, KO Pokemon, something else comes in full, Overheat, nuke it out, and then you still get to play out a little bit. So Skeledirge has some interesting stuff. The rest of the coverage, I don't really see too much to work with on that special. Now, I don't really recommend some kind of like crazy Terra type and Terastallizing on this moveset. I mean, I guess you can just have a Terra Blast in here, and you can have some kind of coverage move for the 1% chance it bails you out of a game and causes you to win. So, like, that's always an option to keep in mind when team building for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The problem is, you can't breed down Terra types, so for a starter Pokemon like this, using those 50 shards to get a specific Terra type could be pretty annoying competitively. Now, when it comes to Pokemon, I make guides for everything. We have moveset guides, competitive team building, also in-game gameplay guides for earning money and resources to help you build the Pokemon to then use online. So I have no respect for cheaters. If you're ginning or hacking in a children's game to disadvantage others, you're a complete irredeemable scumbag, just like Wolfie VGC. Which is why I will also acknowledge Terra types and certain like competitive setups for Pokemon when building out this moveset guide. Now you can just kind of build this and use it in Pokemon Showdown for the Battle Simulator, but the Battle Simulator is really lame. You should be doing everything inside Pokemon Scarlet and Violet because they're great games, and there's also going to be an online ranking system, and then that gives you rewards, and that's kind of where you prove yourself for Pokemon, not on some fan site. So yeah, Terra is something to keep an eye on, and maybe months down the road, if you have like 400 Terra shards for Ice because you've done thousands of Terra raids, then sure, this might actually work out. Also, maybe Ice isn't the best typing, so we can kind of go through and check. Fire Ghost, how good is that? That's pretty good. Also, Ground makes this really good. Like, you see some Pokemon, oh man, Tyranitar messes us up, Houndoom messes us up. Hey, that goes away. Now, this is kind of inaccurate because we have Levitate on the Hydreigon, so Hydreigon's still going to wall us out, which is actually why, yeah, Ice adds a ton of super effective hits for those Dragon-type Pokemon and, like, those other weird-type combinations we catch. Also, the Fire-type resist kind of come into play at that point, so yeah, that's going to be really good coverage, and like I said, it's that very small chance to win out you might find on the Skeledirge. Also, I realize we're a few minutes in this video, and I haven't reminded you to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and share this video with your friends. Also, I've been seeing more comments, people saying, hey, you should have a Discord. I do have a Discord. You join via channel membership or Patreon. My Patreon's only $3, my channel membership is only $2, but we need that money gate because of those cheaters I talked about earlier. I am the only legitimate Discord community when it comes to competitive Pokemon, so there's a lot of value in there. You know the trades and team building are going to be legit, and when you join a raid, it's not going to be hacked. So a lot of value in that. I guess I should plug it more because apparently people don't know about it, even though it's very easy. You click join and then $2 and you're in. Back to Skeledirge. So yeah, the point of this is like, if you're a 3-hit KO Pokemon, you get like a Retaliation Torch Song, use Unaware to not care about the opponent trying to 6-0 you, and then you eventually just kind of stack up and win. Seems like a really strong 2-for-1 Pokemon, and it's really about not understating the Unaware. That if you're going to lose because the opponent has a +4 something against you, and Skeledirge like goes 1-for-1 with it, you now didn't lose because of Skeledirge. So that's me, it's not like a glamorous, I stack up and then I hard sweep the game. Even as like a tank Pokemon, it doesn't stall out 6-0 in most situations. So it's just going to be there as a rock. It's an anchor. It's preventing you from losing the game. However, that means it's actually the biggest part of you winning the game. But I did say Unaware is one of the best abilities in the game, and Skeledirge is a very tanky Pokemon. It's tankier than Clefable, and Clefable is one of the hardest game-ending Pokemon because of Unaware. You can't do anything about it. It hits the field, it starts using Calm Mind, and now you're getting 1 or 2 shot by everything against a Pokemon that you cannot defeat. It just goes max hit points, max defense, defensive nature, and then you can't touch it. The power of going full tank investment on such a crazy Pokemon is so insane that, like, you don't need defense boost. Well, I did tech in a Keyberry when it came to Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then I ran Moonlight, Flamethrower, Moonblast, and, like, that was just GG. So what if we do this idea, but reverse it for Skeledirge, because it gets Curse Slack Off. Now, the problem is, you do have to commit your Terra type, or else Curse is going to have the Ghost benefit, but you go Water, and now you're just a Pokemon that has Curse Slack Off Unaware that's tankier than Clefable. The only issue is that at this time, I haven't seen any way to get a Morangaberry in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so maybe it's not like initially available, maybe an event, maybe some kind of Terra raid has it as a reward, but again, I haven't seen it, and I don't see any websites showing the method of getting it, so keep an eye on that. Morangaberry becomes available, you tech that in, you're good. But Pokemon's still very useful with leftovers or a Citrus Berry. You do that, you set up curses, you still tank out special attacks really well, which is why the Terra type consideration is also going to be pretty interesting, and then you can bring in Torch Song, well, not Torch Song, because now you're doing Curse. So this is also where things start to, like, shift around and get interesting, because we are physical attacking instead of special attack, but it's about just being unkillable and eventually just, like, walking over your opponent on 6 zeros. So Earthquake plus a Terra type going to be really strong. The Terra type combination with your natural typing, also an interesting discussion. We don't have competitive battles yet in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so we need to wait to see how the scene matures in December and into the future. But my initial read is that using a Terra type to go, haha, I just turned your attack immune to, like, debate the opponent, doesn't seem like the best way to go, because now you're stuck with those consequences. So if I'm thinking, oh, I'm a fire type Pokemon, opponent wants to hit me with that Earthquake, and then I go flying, well, now my coverage is hurt, I'm stuck on a flying typing, and it just doesn't feel that great. But I can still go into a strong defensive typing like Water, potentially Fairy. Maybe not so much on the Steel, because, like, that's just still keeping a ground type super effective hit. So that's where you also have to, like, look into coverage options and stuff like that. If I have Ground Fairy is going to do pretty well. As long as you don't have immunities, it's fine. But there's the jerk Corviknight. Corviknight stacking against you is not going to feel pretty good. So Fire Ghost is going to look like this, and Tyranitar is kind of a problem. So that's kind of what you have to give up when you're doing some kind of moveset like this, is you're not going to have perfect coverage, and it's going to be about what's common, what's being too much of an issue for you, and then adjusting your moveset around like that. I showed the Water because I like the idea behind the Water. Water Ghost seems okay, because when it comes to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there's really only Hydreigon as a threat, and that Pokemon will not be able to touch you. I mean, Terra types are just outrageously complicated. Maybe you go Dark, and then you get Stab Crunch, and then your damage turns on sooner, and then that opens up a Ghost type move, Ghost Dark. I think that's always been something decently solid. Maybe Dark Fire, and Ghost Dark doesn't hint to Dark, of course. So yeah, it's going to come down to what ends up just feeling not really good into some strong Pokemon. Question: Eviolite pre-evolution. So I built a random damage analog. We just have a super effective hit from a 95 max EV 120 base power move. All we need to know is that it goes 53 to 62, 42 to 49. How does Crocolore compare? Gross. It's just much worse. I guess the stats are too low. Except Eviolite is not programmed for the new Pokemon. They just threw in the stats, but it's not factoring in Eviolite for a pre-evolution, which means we'll just quickly manually plug in the 50% boosts. It's close. The question is it close enough? Because you are giving up leftovers, you are giving up Citrus Berry, you're giving up some kind of item. But you're taking over 10% less damage on a stat that you can't boost. So the thing about it is that it removes the ambiguity of, like, Keyberry, Morangaberry. If Morangaberry becomes available, I think it's just better to run the Skeledirge. but if it's actually not in the game, again, it's still early on, so I'm not like 100% on where everything is. Eviolite Crocolore, viable, slightly better maybe, but also like the value of leftovers if you get burned or there's like some kind of stalling out thing happening. We could get real ugly and cursed with the Sensei Chesto Resto over Slack Off, which is also a thing, except you don't want to rest when you don't have special defense boosting, so maybe ignore that part. That was just some rambling here at the end now that we're closing out a long work day. But yeah, it's a thing. Wait, I'm stupid. It's just a fire type. That means you can curse and not have to dedicate a Terra type. And you also don't have double weakness, you just have fire. Oh. That's spicy. And then my last moveset idea is trying to do something with Skeledirge's speed. So I thought we would avoid speed tiers for one video because it's a bulky Pokemon and I get to shut off my brain. No. So where does 66 put us? And if we double it, so like, what if we go 2 Flame Charge, double to 236? How's that on a Pokemon? That outspeeds Beneficial Nature's Scarf Rotom. And Speed Tie's 105. Which means we're also going to be outspeeding Garchomp? Neutral. And if we somehow get more Flame Charges in, we climb up the ladder into Weirdness. So the idea here is just using the natural bulk of this Pokemon. Like if we're a 3-hit KO Pokemon, well, we go Flame Charge, that's still chip damage. That's still going to be doing a little bit of something. Unaware means also the opponent, if it relies on getting stat boost, doesn't matter. And then we throw out a Torch Song. So we raise special attack by 1. Torch Song is a sound move. So Throat Spray will work with it. Now Throat Spray boosts after the use, but now we go from Torch Song hitting to then the next Torch Song doing double damage. Oh yeah, forgot to mention this. Since it is a sound-based move, that means we also get extra benefits of a sound-based move, like bypassing Substitute. So if that becomes strong, we have the Unaware Pokemon that ignores Substitute. So the dream is Flame Charge, Torch Song, KO. Now we're just sweeping. And then we also have that +1 special attack that works for other moves. Terra-type Fire means you just fire into the Torch Song and really nothing is going to survive. And now we're a sweeping threat. I'm sure a lot of you guys understand how depressed I am that it's been over 4 years without Fan Fridays because the game just does not allow it. I want to do it, guys. Fan Fridays didn't stop because of me. Game Freak killed it. There's like the slightest bit of hope and prayer that the ranked Battle Stadium update brings us battle replays, but I've given up on that. Actually, if someone's uncle unironically works for Nintendo or Game Freak, beg, we need battle replays back to show off some of the really cool things, especially like Terra types and stuff. But this just seems like the ultimate Fan Fridays. If it works and you can consistently wreck people with it, oh my god, that's like the coolest thing ever. But like, here's a thought. Here's another thought. Like, this actually just seems like you hard win the game, as though you had a Clefable. Very nasty, and here's just the run Skeledirge and not let the opponent run you over kind of moveset. So a lot of options. Again, not a glamorous Pokemon, not like, oh wow, this thing's just straight up busted, but like, if this is as successful as Clefable, it's actually one of the best Pokemon in the game. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.